ZS6YI testing. 6YI testing. Right, this is Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India, welcoming everyone to the Worldwide Net today. Apologies for not being on frequency last week, but yeah, that's funny, null packets are quite high. That's very, very strange. Anyway, I hope you guys are receiving. Let me just check here. Haven't been on much, so you have to redo everything, you know, when you come back to this mode. Anyway, yeah, I just want to get one camera out here and then we can carry on, if I can find it. Camera, Canon small, I don't even see the other camera. Anyway, as usual, we just wish to thank the Qatar satellite company for allowing us the opportunity to use part of their satellite for amateur radio purposes, which is an amateur radio satellite on their main, attached to their main satellite. We also wish to thank AMSAT DL and AMSAT UK, and that's of course the BATC, British Amateur Television Club. We have a number of people just listening today, or watching, whatever is the right term. Nigel, I see you receiving me well. That's nice, Nigel. And there's 2 Echo 0 Echo Hotel, Nigel. And unfortunately, Martin, G4FKK, he will not be able to come up as he's got folk around for lunch. Thank you, Martin. Enjoy the lunch. And Henry won't be able to come on. He's got a family commitment today. And let's see who is on. Ooh, we have Mike. Hello, Mike. Golf 1 Lima Whiskey X-Ray. Saw you up earlier. We have Tom with something very interesting. ZR6 Tango Golf. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, Tom. There's one improvement that you can do later, and that is to use your receiver's strength to finely position that dish. But I don't want to steal your thunder. but that will be quite nice if you can interface it as well. I did that years ago on C-band satellites. I used to use the receiver strength to finally lock on it, and then as the satellite moved around, so it could click, 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 and follow it. Anyway, right, Bert, Papa Alpha 3 Alpha Oscar Delta, he's only receiving because he's busy with a DATV contest. Well, on 2 meters, 17.6 meters. So, unfortunately, not on this band. He could have made some points today. Hello to you, Ed, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. You pass it to Mike, Golf 0 Mike Juliet Whiskey. And you must tell us more about your down under trip. I was watching last week, by the way, Mike. And yeah, I hope you had a good time down under. It's a lovely country, that. And then Nick, Golf 4 IMO. Hello to you. And to ZS6 Golf Echo, Frank, I'm glad you could make it. Hello to you. And then Sep, hello Sep, Delta Lima Sierra Echo Papa. Leon said he might be a bit late. He's just at the airfield. So, without further ado, Golf 1, Lima Whiskey X-Ray. Mike, would you care to take it, please, from Zulu Sierra 6, Yankee, India? Like Mike's engines aren't starting up, so we'll just go down the list to the next guy as usual. It's not a problem, and hopefully Mike will join us a bit later. So the next will be you, Tom. Maybe just give a little chance in case Mike wants to come up. ZR6 Tango Golf, please take it from Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee, India.
Thanks there, Gary. ZS6YI. You're from ZR6 Tango Golf. Just checking if the sound's working. Didn't look like Mike was coming on there. Give him a gap just now again. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's been well. It's been 2 weeks since I've been on the net last. Last weekend was birthday weekend, so I went a bit away for the week. Oh, the weekend. It was just 2-3 days. It was lots of fun. But anyway, it's good to be back, and hello to everybody on the net today. Good to see everybody. We've got Mike, Ed, other Mike, Nick, Frank, Sep. Sep should have started first, and he could have played us another tune again. But yeah, hope everybody's doing well. From my side, I've been busy playing with a new toy. So recently, some fellow ham, ZS5 Zulu Tango in Durban contacted me. He had 2 of these heavy-duty PTZ camera gadgets. It's no real make or model or anything on it, but it's what they typically use in Europe for traffic cameras. It's got decent pan and tilt. So yeah, so he sent me the 2, and I've been hacking around a bit on it. And this is the end result. Let me see if I can switch the camera here. There we go. Do I have mic here? Yeah, I do. So you can see it there in the background. That's the rotator part. It's fairly simple. It's got a base on the rotator section there. So what I've done is basically ripped out the electronics inside, the control electronics. It's got 2 motors, 2 24-volt DC motors inside, and it's got an encoder and a potentiometer for the elevation. The encoder, I've got the wrong camera. The encoder looks like that with a nice slip ring. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this encoder to work. I think it might be damaged. and I've cut off the wires of the slip ring a bit too tight. So I basically re-engineered that side. So inside here now there's a couple of 3D printed gadgets with an extra potentiometer for the azimuth. The electronics on this is fairly simple. Let's switch to the other camera. Can I show you? Let's see if that's going to work. You can see that I've got a Hammond case there, and all it's got in there at the moment is an Arduino, a Raspberry Pi, and a motor driver. So really nothing fancy there. And all the Arduino does is basically just reads the two potentiometers to get the current location, and it controls the motor driver. And from the serial port, it can receive the azimuth and the elevation. And then the same than what I did with my original base station, I basically converted, well, using Node-RED to send the commands down to there, and then I can hook in all my other apps. So on the screen there, you can see the little display there. It's just one that I hacked together quickly. So we've got home, it basically just resets it up. You can see it moving. So then it basically just goes into up position. That was just more for testing and such. And then we've got your basic rotator control. So you can set the elevation, you can set the azimuth. So I can just click there and off it goes. There's a little jumping around. It works relatively smoothly, and it's fairly quick, especially if I compare it to my base station rotator. I could probably have cleaned the dish a bit up before doing the whole show and tell. But yeah, no, it works beautifully. And so the next step is, well, on that side, everything's pretty much done. It receives the azimuth and elevation, and I can also tie it into the satellite tracking programs via the Node-RED. So listens on the socket, like the Hamlib socket, and you can connect G-Predict to it or most of the satellite tracking software. I've obviously got my own little software in there. So the next step, the reason I've got the dish on there is I want to see if I can make a self-tuning Oscar 100 dish setup, portable. It looks big, but it's quite light, so it should travel quite easily. And then obviously we've got the amateur radio balloon launch in October in Secunda. So I want to set it up so that it basically takes the APRS packets and then does following of the balloon as well for the telemetry and stuff we've got on there. So yeah, I'm quite fairly happy with how this turned out. I've got another one to play with. There's lots of things we can do with this, so we'll still be experimenting quite a bit. But yeah, success so far. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from my side. I've got a couple of other little projects in the works as well, but I won't take up too much more time on this net, so I'll show you guys all next week. And yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody's projects and chatting to everybody. Cool, so I'm gonna hand it over to, okay, Bert's just watching, hand it over to Ed. Papa Yankee 2 Romeo November, you're from Zulu Romeo 6 Tango Golf.
Yeah, kind of a small fan. All right, thank you, Tom. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Greetings, everybody. Let me adjust my power here. It seems a little bit exaggerated. Yeah. This last slot is not very stable for me. I think my helix is not so good for the higher frequencies on 2.4, but that's okay. Fantastic, Tom. That's so nice. I mean, mainly well, for my interest would not be so much for the QO-100, but for the Leos. I think today the most challenge for everybody working Leos are the lack of options on the track system. And obviously we do have some, like Yaesus and some other, but they are kind of not in the budget area, kind of expensive, and it would be great if we can use you know, the solution you're making there for the LEO satellites. That's very nice. But like you said, I mean, so many options to use that. It's really very interesting, very interesting. Hi Gary, nice to see you again. Great transmission. And I got a problem this morning. I was trying to transmit here on the DATV and my signal was low. I was trying to guess what was happening, and just jump up to the roof and realize my antenna, my dish, just changed elevation. Supposedly it was very tight. I mean, but for some reason it got you know, higher elevation. I realized that and just put back on position, and it seems normal now. We got a very windy weather here the last few days, so it's kind of cold and very windy, but not so strong winds that would make it move, because as I said, it's really tight. But anyways, everything can happen up on the roof. The only thing I would like to comment to you guys is the strong the strong solar storm that we got this week. I don't know if you guys got affected, but I noticed several affectations here on the QO-100. The narrowband transponder, the noise floor was bouncing, and you know, lots of QSB. I think that was on Wednesday. And the beacon here on the DATV was also like 3 dBs lower for me. The intensity of the beacon was like, you know, I usually get here MER 10, and it was like 7 or 8. And also on Wednesday night, I was watching TV. I have a DTH, I have satellite TV here, some HD channels. The signals were affected, and I got you know, those square effect image. So because of the signal got low. Yep, seems it was a very severe storm. It affected a lot, and regarding propagation, I see the lower frequencies like 80, 40 get very bad. In the opposite side, the higher frequency, 28 and 50 megahertz, it seems to start improving, which is very good. Yesterday, I was able to make some QSOs with our neighbors here on 6 meters, 50 megahertz from Argentina, which is about 2,000 kilometers south. And so hopefully propagation 6 meters gonna improve. I'm looking for new countries, new DXCCs on 6 meters. All right. That's it. Let's see who's next on the line. It's Mike, Golf Zero Mike Juliet Whiskey. So sending to you, Mike, from Papa Yankee to Romeo November.
Okay, hopefully that's working. Apologies if not, I just realised I'd turned off the audio. So the low rumble on my test card is a subaudible tone that ensures that there is some sound data, because otherwise some encoders or decoders don't lock up. Anyway, good afternoon everybody. Nice to see everyone on again. Nice to see you, Gary, having not seen you for a while. You're right, I was in Australia. It was very much a work trip and quite hard work as well, but we did have a weekend. I had 2 weekends because I had to fly back on Monday, because getting a flight back on Sunday wasn't possible. And it's quite a long way from here to Australia, much closer to you, of course. And oddly, no sensation of being upside down whatsoever. So I can see how you in South Africa also don't have that sensation. No, it was really nice, but it's a heck of a long way to go. I went to Melbourne first of all, and I hadn't brought a thick coat or jumper, which turned out to be a mistake. But then I went up to Cairns for the actual meeting, so I was only in Melbourne for a short time. And it was nice and pleasant up there. It's a rain forest area, tropical, but middle of winter it's actually quite nice and dry and pleasant. Right, what have I been up to? I've installed an HF vertical over the weekend to replace the HF vertical that was showing signs of age with all the wind, etc. So this is, I think it's a Hustler or something, 6-band vertical. Looks alright. It's got a very narrow bandwidth on 80 metres, but the other bands seem to be okay. I just needed a bit of tweaking. Bury the coax and put in a few more radials because I've moved the position of it. And that was what I was doing yesterday. And talking of positioners, not a very good segue, but Tom's dispositioner looks really nice. I acquired one of those ASL camera mounts a long time ago now, but mine didn't have any encoders in it. And I gave it to someone to put some encoders in it, and I didn't see it again. So I guess it got forgotten. But we were using them for a while to do microwave work. So in the UK we have quite a few people who go out doing terrestrial microwaves, 10 gigahertz, 24 gigahertz, 5.7 gigahertz. And wouldn't it be nice if you could just have an antenna on the back of the truck, a ute or a pickup truck or some other sort of mobile, and draw up to a reasonable site and just push a few buttons to position the antenna without having to use a tripod. And once you've got it calibrated, then you've got an accurate means of pointing it in the right direction. So that was the idea behind that, and it was good. But the problem with the one I had was it was mains powered. 110 volts would drive it fine AC, but a bit of a scary voltage to use really. So yeah, just the problem nowadays is getting on, I think, and getting on with encoders. I said in the chat that I'd built an encoder decoder. So a lot of the optical encoders you can get for antennas are SPI interface. So I built an SPI interface to an Arduino Nano, so that you could get that to tell you where the thing was. Okay, was there anything else? Ed, yes, elevation angles. So what's your elevation angle to the satellite? Interested in that because as you get very low in elevation, then the diffraction, the same way that signals propagate beyond the horizon, causes the satellite to change elevation upwards a bit. So it could be tropo, but I doubt it was that in this case. It was probably your dish moving. We actually had an outage last week as well, or was it the weekend? Can't remember exactly. On one set of channels, and when it happens on one set of channels, it's usually the uplink has suffered a rain outage, so the uplinking station's got very heavy rain, and that's what it was. We had some thunderstorms in the UK, so yours might well have been the same. Might not have been raining where you are, but it was raining where the satellites were being uplinked. I very much doubt it was space weather, solar activity. That's my other day job apart from spectrum policy, and it's basically less of an issue the higher in frequencies you go. So by the time you've got to S-band and X-band, it's not all that significant. It might have messed up the ionosphere a bit, but I don't think so. More likely, there was something else happening that was causing the signal to be attenuated, or the satellite to effectively move up and down in and out of your beam width, which would be, because it's got a low elevation angle, that would be a much more pronounced effect for you than everybody else. So, okay, very interesting. Don't think I've got anything else to add, so who do I pass it to? This is a good question, actually, because I haven't got the thing open. So let me just look. Sorry for looking in the wrong direction here. It goes to Nick, G4IMO. So, round to you, Nick. G4IMO, G0MJW.
Yes, okay, Mike, thanks for that. I got audio. Yes, okay, Mike. Yes, we have, good. Where's my camera? Right, there we go. Right, afternoon to everybody. Nice to see you all on here. Hello to everybody who's just watching. I think Martin's there, isn't he? FKK, just watching, I think, and Nigel, I think, is receive only. Anyway, it's a reasonable temperature in the shack today, unlike last week. Oh, incidentally, before I forget, because my my age, as they say, last Sunday, it was probably the hottest day of the year here. Can't remember what it was, 33, 34 or something. But I had an interesting thought. I'm just curious to know if anybody else has experienced this. I think it's something to do with the mini tuner. I came into the shack and I put the computer on with the mini tuner plugged into the USB socket. I was running the mini tune software, and there was a German station on the satellite here, one channel lower, and it was fine. He was coming through fine, and then I went to this channel to watch the net, and nothing. Couldn't receive anything. So I thought, well, that's a bit strange. So I then went to the other channel where the German was, and it was fine on there. So I thought, oh, maybe it's something to do with Windows update or something. Not to worry, I'll put the ride receiver on. Now, the ride receiver has got a completely separate mini tuner, and exactly the same. Exactly the same. The German station that was on one channel lower was coming through 100%. When I went to the QO-100 channel, this channel, nothing. And I realised on the ride receiver, when you first select the channel, it comes up, and the German station was running H.264. So for some reason, I have no explanation, but for some reason the mini tuner or the ride receiver and the mini tuner plugged into the computer would not receive any H.265 transmission. So presumably something, I don't know, I assume it's temperature related, because the following morning I switched it all on and it all worked fine. So I'm just curious whether anybody else had experienced that, when the temperatures are quite high, it seems to have trouble receiving H.265 for some reason. Anyway, on to other things. I've been working out in my workshop this week. I'm making a new feed for my my transmit. I'm making one of these patch antennas. I've made the reflector. There's the reflector with its end socket on there, and I've cut out the driven element as well. So next week, when the XYL is out shopping, I shall use the electric hob to solder it all together. I found some washers, big large washers that are exactly 3 millimeter thick, so I can use those as the spacers. And obviously I need some sort of lens for that, and on eBay there was a chap in Germany who was selling these. So I thought, well, they were quite cheap. They're only £7. So and all I wanted was the lens. So when it arrived, this is the NMB. You can see I've already removed the lens with lots of hot water. And there's the lens all ready to fit onto the new feed. So that's what I shall be doing next week. So that's my project for next week. So I shall be experimenting there. What else? I did make some notes here. Yeah, okay, Tom, on the pan and tilt thing, that looks quite amazing. Our friend Rob, M0DTS, he goes out mobile in his van, but that'd be ideal on the top of a van, or to have something like that. Obviously, if it was 12 volt, but yeah, that's quite useful, and of course being able to write the software to drive it as well. That's a handy thing. But as Mike said on the chat there, the skew will change, won't it, when you go around. So if you're going to use it on a QO-100, you'll have to find a way of rotating the feed. It's a shame it's linear, isn't it? If it was circular, you wouldn't have to worry about that. It'd be quite good. Solar storm, Ed? No, I wasn't aware of a solar storm. That we had some really heavy thunderstorms last week, and we lost our electricity for a while. But I wasn't aware of any solar activity, although I haven't been in the shack, so in the workshop. And what else was there? Oh, Mike, on your trip to Australia, that's one place I've always wanted to visit. That would be a nice place to go, but it's a vast country, isn't it? So anyway, that would be quite nice. Quite a long old flight. I don't know, because we used to regularly fly out to Singapore or Malaysia or the Philippines, so you could have like a short hop over to Australia, because from here to the Philippines is already 16 hours. I don't know what it is to Australia from here, but a short hop from the Philippines would be quite nice. Okay, on the HF vertical, I've got I occasionally I go on HF, but I prefer to use the satellite. But I put up a quarter wave. I used a quarter wave vertical for 20 meters, and I went to all the trouble to put 32 ground radials into the lawn. It worked, but it didn't work very well, and I've now changed that for a half wave vertical, which works. Well, I can hear the Americans coming in much stronger on that compared with the quarter wave vertical. So that's that. Okay, that's enough waffle for me, I think. Round to Frank. Hang on, get me act together here. ZS6YI to take, Frank, G4IMO.
Yeah, good day everybody. Nice and short today from my side. And yeah, sometimes you scratch your head what's going on. And I see that Nick, there are some comments here on the scat. No, yeah, okay. Anyway, so maybe that puts you on the right path. I also have to play around a bit with the lens or so on my dish. It could be better. At the moment I have no lens whatsoever because the dish is so big, and if I put a lens in it gets worse, and I have to try something in between, like a weak lens for want of another description. Tom, yeah, what I always wondered is how do you make a dish track automatically if you have an erratic target, like a balloon, for example. So it has to track automatically, and I have no idea how that can be done with a single dish. I always imagined if you sort of have 4 targets and on the antenna, and you try now to keep the signals from all 4 the same. The moment one goes out, you compensate for it, but you don't have that with a dish. Maybe you can comment on that. And another thing I would like to get a bit of advice is I would like to install the new, well, relatively new free stream coder without upsetting the current setup. I just want to make sure if I download it in a separate folder and try to install it there, does it mess up anything else? With other words, I want to be able to select either the old version or the new version. But I'm not 100% sure if that is possible. Okay, next. Sepp. Ja, ich hoffe, es ist nicht mehr so heiß. DL7 SEP, ZS6 Golf Echo.
Looks like Sepp has got a problem as well, so I'll just take it and give Sepp and also Mike. Hopefully Mike will be back on. So, Frank, it does work if you have them in 2 different files. I do that. I couldn't get my audio synchronized today, so I just used the older version and I just clicked that, and it worked perfectly, and the audio was more or less in sync. Right, Ed, let me just see. Those flares, you know, we run the ZS6 Delta November beacon, and we haven't been getting good results using a Cushcraft vertical. But all of a sudden in the last week, we've had wonderful results, all in the green, beautiful. We've done nothing to the station. But that's led me to the next thing, touches to Mike there on his vertical. I'm busy building a cobweb antenna, Mike, and what I've seen on YouTube and the guys doing A and B comparisons, there seems to be quite an advantage having a cobweb. The only snag is you have to make a current balun because the impedance is around about 12.5 ohms, and they use RG316. So I battled to get, firstly, 2 cores. I had to import them from Holland. That's the FTE, I think it's 240-61. So they're quite big cores. And I thought, you know what, I've got quite a bit of this RG400 coax, which is thicker than the 316. So I built the balun for the cobweb antenna over there. Now you'll see they are 2 units in parallel, and the reason is this is all parallel, so you've got 2 coaxes at a time. So it's 50 ohm, 50 ohm in parallel. That gives you 25 ohm at the bottom, and that'll give you your 12.5 ohm, which is apparently the impedance of the cobweb at resonance on each band, of course. The other end is a bit different because you're going to have 12.5 ohm there again. So you feed them in series with each other to get you back to 50 ohm. Anyway, built it up. It's quite difficult doing it with a thicker cable. I put the analyzer on, and 12.5 ohm resistive on the feed area, or shall we say the load. That's where the antenna would be. And come what may, I can't get an SWR better than 6 to 1 and even higher. So I don't know what even Leon has had his head scratching around. So it's possible that our RF output from the little analyzer is too low. So today I was just charging the batteries on the 705, the IC705, and a bit later I'm going to put some proper RF into it, say 1 or 2 watts, and then just check what the SWR is with a 12.5 ohm load. However, I have ordered 316 cable, and I've got 6 of these little cores, so I'll make up another unit. And that is made, I'm doing all this exercise for the cobweb, because I want to replace the Cushcraft vertical with the cobweb, which is also omnidirectional. And by all accounts, I've seen various YouTube movies about this cobweb. It outperforms the vertical antennas time and time again. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But of course, the flare helped us this last week. We were nicely in the green. And so when conditions go bad, it will quickly pop up the other antenna once it's tuned, and then we can get it going. Of course, I don't have to use a current balun. What I could do is just use twin wires, make like a folded dipole, and then at the right spot, just short it out as a stub, and that will reduce the impedance down to 12.5 ohms, and then, well, actually down to 50 ohms. So one can do it that way, and on each band it will resonate. But it's a bit more quirky to do it that way. You'll have to tune, firstly get resonance, and then go with a pin, I think would be the way. Stick a pin through the 2 wires until you get best SWR. Make sure your resonance is still okay, and make sure that your return loss is as high as possible. Then you know it's working perfectly. And then solder it, and then, well, before you solder it, do all the other bands, because what you do on the other bands affects the lower band, and so it goes, eh? So, coming back to your comment there, Ed, about the flares, I think we've seen an improvement in 14 megs and up, because our beacon was performing very, very well. I mean, heard by many stations around the globe. Nick, yeah, hot day indeed. My daughter said she's escaped that. She went with her husband and little William to Disneyland in France, and they had a wonderful time there. I don't know how hot it was, but it did seem quite hot. Tom, your pan and tilting is a beautiful idea, a nice project there. And the next part is to maybe put a little receiver on to lock onto the beacon of the satellite, and then just to tune for maximum signal, up and down, left and right, azimuth, elevation, and hunt around until it locks on the best signal. That should be quite easy to do, actually. Years back, we did that with a little receiver for the C-band, because the C-band satellites were running out of gas at that stage, out of fuel, so they went like a figure of 8. So I used the satellite signal strength to click up and down, and we got the general trend, so we could get the satellite dish pointing where it was going to go, and it worked quite well. And so you had quite a few months extra viewing pleasure watching Sky News and CNN at the time. That was 1993. Anyway, Frank, good to hear you again today, and glad you could make it on. And yeah, once we get the cobweb going, if you have the time, you want to pop around, you're more than welcome. You know the story. Yeah, Sepp we haven't heard, but hopefully we do. But let's see if our dear friend Mike might want to take an over. That's Golf 1, Lima Whiskey X-Ray. Mike, I don't know if you want to, you said, okay, you made a comment there. Mike, would you like to try? Failing which, Sepp, if you would like to try. If that doesn't work, we'll go down the list again, and it'll land up, let's see now, it'll go back to you, Tom. So it's Mike, if not Mike, Sepp, if not Sepp, back to you, Tom. So give enough room, if you don't mind. I think we do it that way. From ZS6 Yankee India.
Okay, I'm working. Unfortunately, I got called away just as it was my turn to go on the satellite, so that's why I couldn't come back. Right, all interesting things today. Okay, on your driver amplifier, Nigel, sorry to hear that, but I'm sure you'll get it sorted. These things happen, and I should know I've had a lot of problems, but I seem to have sorted a lot of them out now. Tom, that project is very interesting. I'll be watching to see how it progresses, and it will be very handy to be able to work mobile, as Mike said. I came on the satellite first today because, as you know, I have to get away early, and then I finished up being the last one on. My wife needs picking up shortly. Yeah, I'm actually running a new system here. I'm trying out Dominique's software, the F1EJP software, and it seems to be working very well indeed. I'm quite pleased with it, and it will free the Portsdown 4 up for me so I can use it for other things. So I've been experimenting all week with it, and it does seem to be working quite well. I'm quite surprised, really. It's very handy for someone just starting off on the satellite, because all that you need is the software, OBS, and away you go. There's no Portsdown or Raspberry Pi, etc., to mess about with. So congratulations to Dominique on the software. It really is very good. I'm using for the Brave with the Avalon Pluto. I'm using F5OEOs for the Brave software. Okay, yes, the weather conditions, it's a lot cooler this week than last week in the
Nothing to see from me. Why? Ah, yeah, now it's running. Okay, hello everybody. Sorry for the bad startup. I don't know what is on mic side. I have seen the signal was down, and I start with transmission here. Yeah, the first mistake today was I have a switch over the WLAN with the ESP 8266, and I didn't have switch it on, and so the amplifier haven't voltage, no supply, and then it didn't run. That was my mistake. Yeah, many thanks to can stay here. Very interesting projects what you have. So Gary, your balloon, it looks for very, very high power solution. And you say you have 50 to 12.5 ohms. So with the network analyzer to test this thing, I think the easiest is on the 12.5 ohms to put 450 ohms in parallel resistors, and you measure on the other side the S21, and normal it is independent from the power, so it means it must also runs with 1 milliwatt or lower. Yeah, when you have many of power, then you have problems maybe with the ferrites. This is the other thing. But to measure 12.5 ohm on the 50 ohm ends, it is with every balloon what I have built, I have always on the other side resistors, and then you can see what is going on. Yeah, but it looks very nice. Okay, so Mike, I think you fixed the problem. Then Tom, happy birthday. I know I am a little bit late, but I was on holiday. Last week I was on an island here in Germany. In the north is Insel Rügen, and so I was there here. Yeah, it's also very interested what you have built for adjustment your dish. Very nice. And yeah, what Gary says to give the tuning to the best level with software. This is a very good idea for that. Yeah. Okay, so Ed, yeah, you have storms on your side. By us, we didn't have any storms and wind here in the moment. Yesterday we have rain, and this is very, very important for the nature. We, yeah, the nature needs the rain and the water, and yesterday we got a little bit of rain. Today we have sun and a little bit mixed with cloudy and 23 degrees. So, okay, Mike, I can see your watch on the background of your shack. And with the camera frequency, I can see the multiplexing of the watch. Very nice what is going on. Yeah. Then Nick, yeah, you say you have the hottest day last week. And I think by us we have on the hottest day here 40 degrees. This was really very, very hot. And now it's good. I have here a good place. I'm sitting here in the cellar. And when it's outside 30 to 35 degrees, I have here 21 in the maximum. But in the winter time, I must heating here a little bit. That's the other situation. Yeah. Then two things. I have a question. I have on some stations from you always a little bit of gaps on the voice sound, on the NF. Maybe this is on my side. I don't know. I have not the best PC, and I see most of you use H265 and I use H264. Maybe this is a problem on the graphic card or on the sound card. I don't know. I have it by Tom and other station by Nick. On these two stations, I have always a little bit of dropouts, gaps. Don't know what this is happened. I think it is a problem by me. Yeah. Then from the technical side, I can show you a little bit project of antenna. So this is, I will make a test. Always the mirror on this is not so easy for me. So, okay, these are 4 dipoles. And on the back side, these 4 dipoles are 2 from them are with lambda 90 degrees lines on one point here. And Gary, the same thing on this point, 12.5 ohms. And then here, this line is a 25 ohm cable. And this is lambda quarter, 3/4. Then lambda quarter was too short to build the connection. So I have I don't know what to speak in English is. 3/4 lambda. Okay. I hope you know what I mean. So, and then this was the other side. Yeah. And it shows like this. I will make one test with this antenna. I think it's better than the helix from the sensitivity of the receive side. And maybe the transmit side runs okay. So this is the next test what I will make here. So, okay. So then many thanks, Gary, for this good things here. So I will give you back to you. Then I don't know what we have to do in the row. Okay. Okay. Zulu 06YI for the group Delta Lima 7 Sarah Echo Papa.
SEP, yes. Delta Lima 7 Sierra Echo Papa, ZS6YI returning. Good. Very nice on those dipoles. And yeah, the 3/4 lambda, you're obviously going to retransform it. We used to use that trick when we stacked Yagis, of course. Right. Yeah, Mike, just the thing on the Australian weather. I had 2 factories in Australia and 1 in New Zealand. But I always used to tease the Australians, and I dealt with generals and some highfalutin ministers and so on. And I used to say Australia's best kept secret is their lousy weather. Yes, I tell you, I've seen ice cold weather on, I remember the date, it was the 8th of December, and it was ice cold in Melbourne. Ice cold wind that came in from the Arctic. Anyway, Antarctic. So, yeah, it can throw you for a ball. And even Adelaide's quite cold. Perth is nice. Brisbane's quite nice. Brisbane is in the same line of latitude as what we are. No, let me just think. Same line of longitude as what we sit in. So if we take an aeroplane and fly east, we'll eventually land there. But our temperature is far more forgiving because we are 1,400 meters or 5,500 feet above sea level, so we don't have that humidity. Anyway, right, Tom, are you ready to start your engines? ZR6 Tango Golf, ZS6YI in the group.
Okay, thanks there, Gary. This is Veer from ZR6 Tango Golf. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Too many controls here. Yeah, really great to see everybody there. And Mike and Sep, glad you guys managed to come on there as well. I think Mike has left now already. What does it say on the chat? Yeah, he was on his way out. Sep, yeah, I don't know about the audio gaps. I'm not experiencing it on anybody, so it might just be the coding on your side. I don't know, maybe somebody else can comment if they're also receiving it, but I'm not receiving having any issues on the reception there. Yeah, thanks for the birthday wish, Sep. Yeah, that antenna looks very interesting. I'm very keen to see the feedback on that once you've done some tests. That looks very interesting. Yeah, like I said, good to see everybody. Ed, yeah, the rotator, the idea is to use it more for the Leo sets. Honestly, setting up a dish for the Oscar 100 is so quick and easy that it's probably not worth it unless, like you mentioned, you have it on a mobile van or something and trying to do transmit. I don't know about DATV, Mike. It's a 60 centimeter dish, so although I'm sure it might be able to take a bit bigger. It's not going to take my 1.2 though. I'm fairly certain of that. But yeah, it's the Oscar 100 auto pointing is definitely a fun experiment. There's lots of fun coding stuff around that. In terms of the polarization of the LNB, yeah, I thought about it as well. Although you can quickly go down a rabbit hole trying to engineer something there that will turn the LNB on itself. And I'm not quite, it's almost easier to just have it pop out and, it does the calculations for the auto pointing and then just show on a little screen how much the skew should be. And you can just quickly do the skew. All over South Africa, your skew is only going to be, from the one side to the other side, it's just going to, well, that's about 10 degrees from what I've done on playing on that antenna dish pointing app. So I'm not sure if it's worth it going for all of that. But yeah, long-term plan, more on the LEO side of things, LEO satellites, do some tracking there. And then, yeah, like I say, the balloon tracking as well. Not so much with the dish. We'll have Yagis on there. And then, yeah, there's 2 types of tracking that we can do here. One is obviously, finding the signal and then trying to stick with the signal going past. Like what you mentioned there, Gary, as well, trying to fine-tune it onto the base signal. And then on the balloons, you know, we're obviously already getting altitude and GPS coordinates on a data stream from the balloon. So that can almost just be recalculated to an azimuth and elevation position and have that on a dish. But yeah, both options are fun experiments. So we'll see how practical it gets. But for now, yeah, I've got a whole list of things I want to try. I mean, somebody even suggested, you know, playing around with some solar panels on there, have it follow the sun, stuff like that. So there's so many different things we can try. It's interesting about the solar flares there. I haven't really noticed anything on my side, although I'm not that active on the HF side either. Mike, welcome back from Australia. Hope it was a good trip. Yeah, I like the mobile idea. The tying a dish on a mobile. We'll see if we can get somebody's pickup here and put something on there and do some tests there. Nick, good to see you. Great video and audio as always. About the weather. The weather in South Africa is actually starting to get a bit better now. It's starting to heat up again, although the last couple of days we had a very coldy wind. But in general, it's already a lot better than what the weather was a while back. Frank, yeah, like Gary mentioned, your freestream coder, yeah, you can have 2 separate folders and then you just start up the one that you want. That should work 100% there. Yeah, and I think that's everybody. Mike left. Yeah, cool. So yeah, good to see everybody. It was a nice net. I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop of what I get done with the dish. Like I say, we've got the balloon launch coming up in October, so that one should definitely be fun. I'm just liking to move it around. It moves so nice and smooth. And then also, because of the node red, where did I put it? Too much stuff on my table. I got it working on the tablet as well. So the idea is in the field, because of the Raspberry Pi, it's got an access point in it, and the tablet just connects to it. And then you can do this kind of control on that as well. So that works fairly well. I'm very happy with that. Okay, get back to my face. Okay, there we go. Okay, thanks guys. It's good seeing everybody today. Hope everybody keeps well. Have a good week, and we'll see each other all next week on the net again. I'm gonna hand it over there to Ed. Papa Yankee 2 Romeo November, here from Zulu Romeo 6 Tango Golf.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Let me show you something, Tom, what I got here. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna focus, but I think you know what. Yeah, it has focus, but I lose the. All right. Yeah, I got that via our friend Benno. Pop Alpha 3 Fox Bravo X-ray. Yeah, very nice. I intend to finish, because it's semi assembled. Many components already soldered on the board. I intend to finish it in the next couple of days. And I'm sure it's going to be very helpful. I believe there is also information on your website about this remote monitor, right? Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm going to search your website there. Gary, very interested on your results for this cobweb. I'm really keen to see a better performance antenna for Whisper beacon that I intend to install for 6 meters. You know, thinking some possibilities, dipole, it's ground plane, even I don't know. It's maybe the cobweb. It's going to be the best option. So really interested on your results. Thanks for bringing that topic up. Very interesting. Mike, so you're using that easy DATV, great image, very nice. Although the format that I received you here was 4:3, but it's thank you, Gary. I see you send me the design. Thank you. I'm gonna say that later on. So Mike, very welcome to the net, and I don't know if you got some problems. But you just stopped transmitting suddenly. That's what I realized in here. And Tom, yeah, that's gonna be perfect for Leos and mainly for portable operations. And gonna be great. I think it's a big project. I saw like Mike MGW said, I saw a similar rotator around here, but unfortunately they don't use DC motors. They use AC motors. They look like exactly the one you showed us, Tom, but instead of DC it uses AC, which is a totally different monster. But anyways, let's see. For Nick, G4IMO. Well, Nick, I do have very high temperatures here during the year. Near 6 months of the year, I have temperatures higher than 30 degrees. But I really didn't realize this effect you just mentioned with your mini tuner. But I use the mini tuner Express, which is that small box that used to be sold by a guy in the US. That small box get very hot. Regardless the ambient temperature, but I just put a fan there, and didn't realize any effect as you mentioned regarding the high temperature. You know, on H265. I don't know what way that could be. Anyways, Mike. Mike Juliet Whiskey. Elevation from here to this to LSHO2 is 7 degrees. To be more specific, 7.1 degree. And yeah, what happened this week was a CME, which stands for coronal mass ejection, and it was huge. Surprised that you guys didn't feel that. I don't know. Here we suffer a lot with those CMEs, satellite communications mainly, commercial, and obviously here on QO-100 I could realize the effects. There is nothing related to the atmospheric weather, but with the solar weather, and yeah, the effects was huge here on QO-100 and also on the commercial TV satellite. Propagation, yeah, Gary, you're right, because that caused lots of, I believe, sporadic E's. That was I was experiencing yesterday with my QSOs with Argentina on 6 meters. that I believe was a sporadic E. So you know, the flares come from the sun and get some, you know, ionosphere, some plasma. I mean, some regions on the ionosphere gets ionized, and we are able to make some contacts due to the sporadic E's. And there is a very interesting effect also that we could realize on the LEO satellites here. I think it occurred during springtime from here, from when the satellite passes through the equator, the Earth equator. You notice a lot of scintillation on the signal. So if you hear people talking on the LEO satellites, on mainly on SSB, you hear a lot of flutter. I mean, the guy, you really notice the bubbles coming through the signal, and that's what happened when the LEOs passed through the equator line, coming from north, and it's very interesting effect on the SSB. Also can notice on the FM, but the signal has like a super fast QSB. It's really interesting. The scintillation effect. That's because the little bubbles, the plasma bubbles that happens surrounding the equator line, and we are really affected on that. Seth, okay, nice to see you. Good transmission, good audio. I also didn't notice what you mentioned about the audio gaps in any transmission. That for me, that was everybody signals was okay. I also don't know what may happen there. Frank, Zulu Sierra 6 Golf Echo, nice to see you. Great camera you have there, Frank. I don't know, let me know sometime what is the camera brand that you're using, because your image is fantastic. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Hello to Bert, which is only on RX mode, Papa Alpha 3 Alpha Oscar Delta. I could not find the stamps for you, Bert, but as soon as I find them, I'll send to you, okay? But the KSL card from Zulu Yankee Zero Fun is on the way. You should be receiving in a few days there. So thank you very much all for this nice net, and hope to see you all next week. 73 to all, and now I pass to Mike, Golf Zero, Mike Juliet Whiskey. So with you, Mike, 7312.
Good. Thank you, Ed. Just thinking about the what your comments there, I just suddenly realised maybe you're using C-band and not KU band. Good. Oh, thank you, Ed. Just thinking about. Sorry, I had to mute my audio coming back there. I'd forgotten to. Anyway, here is a zoomed-in picture of the vertical. It's the one in the middle, the vertical thing. It's a trapped one, so it looks very. Well, it just looks like a straight thing without all those spiky bits that you get on some of the others, which tend to draw attention to it. So, I'm interested to see how well it works compared to the one that's lying on the grass, which is the butternut that is beyond its, well, it certainly needs repairing anyway. Bits have fallen off and they need to be fixed. Right, anyway, back to the normal picture. Yeah, so some comments. on the space weather side. Yes, that is the day job. It really isn't an impact for us. Certainly at KU band, we didn't notice anything. So it's interesting that you did. On the feed, SEP's feed, that looked really interesting. The Yagis, the 4 Yagis, is one of the best ways to get S-band and X-band together. You might need to add a director to those Yagis if you have a longer F over D dish. I thought about building a feed like that originally, but getting the feeding right is tricky. You've got to have, obviously, you've got to have the phasing harness and then the transformer to get to 50 ohms. But looks like you've done a good job there. So be interesting to see how well it works. I don't know what the power handling of that cable will be. Might be okay for SSB, but I don't know if it will be okay when you're running 50 or 60 watts on DATV for a long period of time. Might be fine, I don't know. But certainly one of the best ways to do it. In fact, there was a presentation from some Polish guys. They produced a horn using that as the feed part of it. And an X-band bit at the bottom, and that produced a really, really good pattern for use on QO-100. The only difficulty is it's hard to make. But if you can make it, then that's definitely the way to go. Yes, for your transformer, Gary, given its only use at HF, then I would think it would be good enough just to use a 12 ohm resistor and put your antenna analyzer on the 50 ohm side and verify that that gives a good match, and that should be fine. It doesn't need to be perfect because the antenna won't be perfect, so it'll be it won't be 50 ohms or whatever on all of the, or 12.5 ohms on all of the bands. It'll vary depending on what frequency it is. But I've seen those. They look. I can see why they're called a cobweb as well. But for 6 meters, I would use a Yagi because it's not very big, and that's what I have here. I have a 4-element Yagi, and plans not yet realised to operate DATV on 6. I've done it on 4 meters, but apart from a few people who are in sporadic E range, it's not really an option there. But the hope is to also do it on 10 meters because I think that'll give us worldwide potential for DATV. So interested in looking at that. Okay, with that, really good to see everyone. 7.3. It's been a good net, and I'm not sure if Nick has left or not. Let me just look at the chat. No, I don't think so. Nigel is not receiving me on his Winter Hill. That's possibly a problem with my transmission. It might be that I'm a little bit weak, so I'll increase the power a little bit. But we noticed an interesting effect on the Thursday night net. Winter Hill does not receive DVB-S unless you tell it to, and Jim sent with DVB-S rather than DVB-S2. So none of us using the Winter Hill saw any of his over, but everybody who was using the ride did, because it does work with DVB-S. So there you go. Okay, right. So I'm not sure if it's Nick or not. If it is Nick, oh, pass it to Sep. Okay, and Frank's had to run. Okay, so I'll pass it to you, Sep. Looks like you've got a good music system there, by the way. So with that, what is Sep's call sign? Just check. It's DL7SEP. Nice custom call sign you've got there. So round to you, Sep. Ooh, wrong test card. G0MJW.
Okay. I think we have forgotten Frank, or is it not there? Maybe we have a little mix with the row here. sorry, Frank, when it is, then I give the microphone on after my transmission to you. The power handling, this cable is called UT141, and the power is divided by 4. You have 4 antennas, and so every of the cable have a quarter of the. Oh, this is not good. This is the phone. Yeah, is a quarter 4 from the main power is on each antenna. So I think this is not a big problem to handle here. 100 watt on W CW. That's not a big problem. And the 3/4 wave line is 25 ohm cable. It means the inner diameter of the inner line is very, very thick. So I think it isn't a problem to handle here 200 or 150 watts with this cable. This is a test, and I will see what is going on. Maybe the antenna burns. Yeah. Okay. So, Tom, on your last transmission, I didn't have any gaps. I don't know what has happened on my side with the NF. Yeah, I don't know what is going on here. Yeah, okay. Many thanks to all stations and to Gary for this great things here to start here. And I wish all a next good week. Stay healthy. And I'm happy when I meet you again. Yeah, Frank, I hope you're going now on, and yeah, you have perfect German words. This is easier for me to make a transmission here. Okay, many thanks. 73 to all. And I give it to Frank, Zulu 06, Golf Echo, and 73 to all.
Okay. Right, I think I'm on. Yeah, slight confusion there. G4IMO here, I think. Yeah, I think the order got a bit confusing there. So I don't know quite what happened there. Anyway, I'll just come on and say cheerio to everybody. Seb, I've not had any problems at all receiving anybody else's audio. So, as you say, maybe that's something to do with your computer, maybe. I don't know. And interesting that feed for circular with the 4 little half-wave antennas phased up. That was very interesting. I had thought about because you could use a waveguide horn, couldn't you? It would be fairly large though, fairly large horn, and you can buy because on C-band you can buy those plates that you can insert into the feed to convert linear to circular. But I think they're quite lossy, so you'd probably lose quite a lot of your transmit signal, I think. But interesting. Okay. Anyway, okay. On the yeah, I need to get an antenna up for 6 meters and 4 meters. I've got this ICOM 7300 here, but all I've got is my 132 foot long wire on it, which is not ideal for that frequency. But I've never heard anybody on 4 meters around here. I don't think there's very many people on there, but certainly the sporadic E season would be interesting. So I think that's about it, I think. Okay, so I don't know who to pass it to, but I think it's Frank. So I'll just have a quick look on the chat here. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to cut carrier now. I'll say cheerio to everybody. Thanks for the interesting QSOs this afternoon. They've been very interesting. And hopefully I should have my new feed working by next weekend, hopefully. So we'll see how that all works out. Okay, 73s and round to Frank. ZS6GE to take, G4IMO.
Okay, I shall take it from you there, Nick. Frank had to run. He sent me a little WhatsApp to say, sorry, he's got to move out. I think he had visitors joining him today, so he couldn't make it. I also want to say hello to Johan, ZS6 Juliet Papa Sierra. He's listening on his mini tuner, so he'll be joining us shortly. He's just getting his story sorted. He's playing around on 145 megs just to get the TV picture and signal and sound and all, and then he'll move it up and build an amp for this frequency. So with that, yeah, you were quite right, by the way, Mike. Latitude, I don't know what's line of longitude, of course, is around the circle. But anyway, very good. And it's been a very nice net again today. Thank you very much for joining. We wish everyone on frequency 30 views on the live stream, so that's good. And we wish everybody a happy week. We're sitting without any electricity since Thursday. A big power transformer blew up, probably because of no maintenance in the oil. Either ran low or water in the oil, never checked. So this popped. It was quite a catastrophe. I've got video of it. Somebody sent video. Maybe I'll put it on next week. You can just see what's happened. But they have got 2 new transformers, which they put in place today. But it takes a while to get them going and to slowly feed into the grid. And then hopefully we'll have power. Luckily, I've got a very big generator. It's 100 amps per phase. It's a 3-phase generator. But by golly, I said to my wife this morning, I could have bought another ICOM 705 with what we've used in diesel since Thursday. It's very, very heavy. And prices of diesel has gone nuts all over the world, as you know. Anyway, it is what it is. So we wish everybody on frequency a happy week. I've got a frog in the throat here. Thanks for watching, and I'm now going to open the channel for general use. This is ZS6YI bidding all on frequency. Happy week. Cheers, guys.
Hello, Gary. ZS6YI and the group ZS1 Mike, just saying hi. Yeah, I actually fell asleep. Can you believe it? I was so exhausted from waiting for that guy at the airfield and he never turned up. I hope he didn't crash because he took off from there and he said he's quickly flying to Cape Town and he'll be back just now. I phoned him about an hour later and he said, yes, he is airborne. He'll be back shortly. And, well, I haven't heard him on the radio yet. So, anyway, Gary, just before you go, I've tried that Balun. Hang on, let me just get it. I'll show you. Okay, this is that version that I showed you the picture of where the guy just used ordinary wire. There it is with the 550 ohm resistors, the 2 toroids, and I have tried all the mixes that I've got. I've got lots. I've got a whole box of Amidon toroids and other no-name brand ones with a proper directional coupler, with a proper spectrum analyzer with tracking generator, and I can't get it to work. It with one particular set of cores, I could get it to work very well on 160 meters, return loss of better than 20 dBs. But the moment you move up in frequency, it just freaks out. I don't know. I'll try one, but I haven't got big enough cores that will take that many turns of RG316, because I've got more than enough RG316 to try it with. But the other fella said, no, he just uses that red and black wire and it works perfectly. So I don't know. I thought I'd just let you know. ZS6, Yankee India, and the group ZS1MM.
Yeah, I'm wondering what happened to you. You said you might be back, but you might be late. But anyway, better late than not. And I certainly hope your friend has landings which are planned. That's the most important thing. As long as they're planned and they're successful, then all's well. Leon, yeah, that is a mystery. I did exactly what Sep, we've been discussing this. This is my version with the heavy coax and the 2 toroids. But I can't understand why that guy reckons his wire one will work. I'll tell you why. Firstly, we're running on each toroid. Let me just get this in the camera. On each toroid, we are running double 50 ohm coax, which we then basically put in parallel. So it's 50 ohm, and through the toroid, you'll still have 50 ohm on the other end because it's double. And you do it the same on the other. So now, if you take the 50 ohm and 50 ohm, you will get 25 ohm, obviously, 25 ohm on the other side, and that will give you more or less your 12.5 ohm. Okay, that's the part that goes to the antenna. On the other side, we go 25 ohm, but in series, it should give you your 50 ohm load. So that idea, what you're doing there, just with plain wire, cannot work, because we are looking for the impedance as a result of the coax, giving us that line impedance. So that's the one thing. I have ordered some 316. I'll get it, I think, on Monday or Tuesday. And then I've got some spare toroids. I bought 6 of them. And then I'll wind this on that using that wire. It should work. This should work. Yeah, I've checked it 100 times, I tell you. It's a mystery. And yes, if you're listening, indeed, we did put 12.5 ohm on the load side and gone into the network analyzer at 50 ohm, and it should have done its thing. But yeah, this is a mystery. Why we're not getting, maybe we're just too pedantic, but I'm not getting a decent load at all. I'm getting a crazy SWR, as I showed you on the photos, Leon. But if you want to, I can certainly send you 2 of these toroids that you can play with. I have no problem doing that if you want. I can send you 2 of them. I'm just a little bit concerned because there was nothing written on the toroid. It was just on the cardboard, and it was the right part number, and it came from the Netherlands. I thought it came from America because I just asked my local guy to organize. He normally does all the, I haven't got time to Google and find out who can supply. So I leave it to him, and he makes a bit of a profit. Great, it's worth it. I'm running a company. I haven't got time to play on the internet. So he found these things. So I bought 6 of them. They were quite expensive if I just brought in 2. So I brought in 6, and it came to 4,000 Rand odd. So it's still expensive for these things, but it's the airfare, you know. I ordered it on the Monday, and I think by the Wednesday or the Thursday we had it. It was that quick. Anyway, I just hope that what the guy sent is truly what we ordered. That's now the other missing link thing. I have got other toroids here, but it's a different material. I think it's the more common 48, and that doesn't really go well on the higher frequencies. It can work to about 14, maybe 21 megs, but you won't go higher than that. So I was contemplating winding another one on those 2 toroids. I got them from the West Rand branch, and they were here the next day. I think I got 4. I'm not sure how many I got. And so I haven't bothered doing it because I've got no more RG400, you see, otherwise I would have. I don't want to go and wreck this one just yet. So the modus operandi is I wait for the 316 to arrive on either tomorrow or the next day, wind it up, and then also get nice, if I can, carbon 50 ohm resistors, put 4 in parallel, and then see. Then I can also run a few watts through it. But and I agree with the consensus, Mike and Sep, that it doesn't matter what the transformation is. If what the power is, it should run with microwatts. So it's nothing to do with power. I was thinking at one time maybe the core's not being saturated, but enough. But yeah, so it's a missing question. But we'll try it with the right wire, the right everything, and if that doesn't work, then it's got to be the core. It can be nothing else actually. So that's the take on it. But coming back to just open wire, I don't care what that guy says. I don't believe it can work because he hasn't got 75 ohm or 50 ohm impedance. And that's why we use the coax, not plain wire. ZS1 Mike, ZS6YI.
Okay, Gary, ZS6YI, ZS1MM right back. Gary, it's not so straightforward. Anyway, I've made a list here of some of my measurements with some of the cores. Yellow mix. That in Amidon, yellow mix is what you use up to 60 megs. From about 10 megs to 60 megs, so thereabouts is yellow mix. On 14 megs, I got a return loss of 4 dBs. On 20 megs, I got a return loss of 2.4 dB. Then I said, okay, that was with 15 turns. Then I reduced the turns to 10 turns. On 14 megs, I then got 3.5 dB return loss. And on 20 megs, 2 dB return loss. So it made very little difference, half a dB difference between 15 turns and 10 turns. Then I used black mix, which is for VHF. I use that on 100, 120 megs. You use black mix. 14 megs, 4 dB. 20 megs, 2.5 dB. Just almost exactly to what the yellow mix gave us. That made me realize it's not the toroidal material. But then I thought, hang on, I'm going to use a way out thing. a blue mix, which is a very high permeability mix. Very, very high permeability. That's now for kilocycle type jobs. 1.6 meg, 20 dB return loss. 10 meg, 4 dB return loss. 28 meg, 1 dB return loss. I don't know. Okay, as far as the coax, Gary, a piece of coax, its characteristic impedance only starts playing any significance in the equation when you are starting to exceed 1/10 of a wavelength. And of course, as you get longer, a quarter wave, then you've got to have it exact. At very short lengths, it's got no effect. It'll add a bit of capacity, but as a constant impedance transmission line, it's got no effect. So if you are working on 14 megs, that's 20 meter wave band. 1/10 of a wavelength is 2 meters. Your piece of coax is only 0.6 of a meter long. The coax impedance has got no say in the business, except, as I say, for adding a little bit of capacity. And that could be why there might be a big difference between the RG400 and the RG316. The 316 is much thinner dielectric. The capacity, I don't know, but it will be different to 400 definitely. But as the characteristic impedance, I don't think it's got any. You have 50 ohms on the one side, 12.5 on the other side. It's 4:1 due to the ratio, but I don't think it's got anything to do with the actual impedance of the coax, because you are using such a small length of coax that doesn't have any say in the matter. That's my experience with coaxial things in transmission lines and so on. If you look at the layout of amplifiers and things, you know, look at your HF linear. If you've ever opened a valve HF linear, and you look at all the transmission lines and stuff in there, it's just bare pieces of wire. There's no coax anywhere, because it's of no significance at HF frequencies what goes on in there. Anyway, that still doesn't solve our mystery. It definitely works better when you have it on a simple radio with a simple SWR meter. It looks better then, but still doesn't make sense. Okay, gentlemen, I have to run. I'm almost late for the next appointment. I'll phone this guy again and just make sure that he landed safely somewhere. But yeah, okay. ZS6YI, possible group. ZS1 Mike is going QRT and saying cheerio until later.
Okay, Leon, ZS1 Mike, ZS6YI, just to wrap up. Well, you can test that very easily. You take a short piece of coax, say 50 ohm, and take a short piece of coax, very short, and go on 14 megs, put a 50 ohm load on it, and you'll get a perfect SWR, so to say, and a very nice return loss. Change that coax to, let's say, a 75 ohm coax, and you will see on your spectrum analyzer or your network analyzer, you will see a change. So I don't know. I think the impedance, it starts at a point, and it is a ratio just of the inner diameter versus the outer and the dielectric. However, it's interesting whichever way, and it's a nice debate, and we'll all learn something from it sooner or later. Okay, meneer, thanks very much for coming up, and it's been good, and this is a nice little kopkrap. We'll figure it out. Cheers there, Leon. Lekker gaan, en ek hoop jou vriend land, hoor. ZS1 Mike, ZS6YI 73.